Tuesday, January 17th. Welcome back to the late night stock talk. Give me 1 second to finish getting set up here, and I'm going to turn on the Discord voice chat. If any of you guys in the Discord want to pop in, if you want to come on camera, let me know, and I'll drop a link in the Discord. There's that voice chat. How's everybody feeling today? I'm going to put up the stock chart in just 1 second. Trying to get finished getting set up here. Move that up there. All right, stock charts. We had AMC close today at 607 after hours. It went down 2 pennies, closed at 605. APE closed at 170 today, up almost 12%. After hours, up another 6 cents. So after hours closed at 176. GameStop closed at 21.80, up 6%, and down a penny after hours. So 21.79 for GameStop. I'm going to move the chat down onto this lower screen so I don't have to be looking up all night. Hang on 1 second. Let's see who we got in here. Christian Princess, welcome back. Doc Zeno, is this a good place to learn about stocks? Hopefully, Doc Zeno, you guys can learn 1 or 2 things. K-Man, what's going on? Backyard Boogie, good evening. Diana, guest, good evening. Diana said, let's go AMC and APE. Someone pointed out, I think it was Juicy, got you crazy, pointed out to me that AMC and APE closed regular trading hours at 7.77 combined. Yeah, that's, hey, we'll take whatever good luck numbers we can get. I like it. Someone do some, where's my numerology experts? Broke Ape says everyone's live tonight. I didn't even check and see who else was live tonight. Doc Zeno, yes, buy high, sell low, something, no. Buy low, sell high, risk diversified portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't buy options if you're a new trader. And for God's sake, don't listen to crazy price targets on the YouTubes or the Twitters. Right now says Shiba Inu is on fire. All right, let's look at some cryptos real quick. Bitcoin 21,295, Ethereum 1585. Here's Bitcoin. Shiba Inu, well, it did go up 0.0000 something. It's about I can't even count that many zeros. And Dogecoin is at 8 cents. Where is Shiba Inu? It's went all the way from 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros and an 8. Oh, we still got 4 zeros, but it's dropped from, let's just call it 0.08 to 0.01. It's got a lot of recovery to do. Good luck to you in Shiba. I know a lot of people are big fans. Six Sun, what's up? We need a squeeze before the reverse split. That would be nice. I did watch. Some of y'all told me to go watch what's his name, Ant Card. I did go watch his video, even though that was a long ass video. but I put it on 2x speed. He did some technical analysis similar to what we've seen Rico and Astro and folks that do TA do. I hope he's right that we're just repeating fractals and patterns. But I don't do TA analysis looking for patterns on stocks like this. But maybe one day someone will get that right. Sure would be great. Right now, my leading theory is still the max pain for this week, and if we can move up over 750, then there's potential to get some other shorts covering and get some other action higher than 750. So we'll wake up in the morning optimistic and see where we go from there. All right, that is 2 chats for Shiba Inu from Mr. Right Now. I'm going to put you in timeout. And one more will be a permanent block. Please don't spam the chat. Dustin Wind, Scarlett is doing well. She is up and around now. Of course, now that she's moving, she's feeling the pain from the collarbone even more. But at least she's up and out of bed and able to move around. So that is good. Slowly making progress. Sufyan, what's up? Sufyan, we need to come up with an accounting topic maybe to go over later this week. I'll talk with you offline on that. Grandpa Barney, what's up, brother? I saw Phil for Real did a video on Grandpa Barney that made me laugh. Grandpa Barney got a shout out from Phil. Yeah, I almost said diversified, didn't I, Ro M? Max Payne, last time I looked, was at 750. Let me see if there was any updates. I'm sure there was a lot of buying today. And it also depends on which website you're using. They're giving, some of them are saying $15, some are saying $7.50. There are a lot of calls and puts at 15. Swaggy Stonks says $7, but it's also weird because it says, I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see it. I don't think it normally does this, but when I put in AMC and then search for the ticker, it's bringing up AMC R. So Swaggy Stonks, folks, you got a web page programming issue. But when I look at the data here, this is AMC's data, even though it says AMC R. So a lot of out of the money calls and puts at 7, 8, 10, and a shit ton, 50,000 calls and 40,000 puts at $15. Does that mean anything? It only means something if we start moving into those levels. If you're trying to go up, every one of these that we breach, then the ones higher than that, the higher you move up, the more that the market makers start increasing their hedging for further out of the money calls. So a loaded options chain it's part of the recipe, but we need to get moving up to make that something actually useful to us. Doc Zeno says, turmeric or ginger tea, good natural and anti-inflammatory for the pain. All right, I think I have some turmeric, Doc. I will see if she's willing to take it. Diaz, what's going on? Proud Ma, present. What was that? What are those two comedians? The ones that have the AA Ron. Present. Thank you, he said. Tyler, I'm not sure I understand your question. 500 million equal 500 million divided by 4 million. Is that shares of AMC divided by retail shareholders? Yeah, if I do the rough math, like, we haven't got an update from Adam Aaron in a while about how many retail shareholders there are. But if I do the rough math, most people I know own more than 125 shares. So, of course, I don't know 4 million people or even 3 million. And I'm sure some of them have sold since we got that update from Adam Aaron a year and a half ago. But even if it's 2 million, the numbers seem a little squirrely to me. Like I'm not quite sure how all that math adds up. Proud Ma eating some Cheetos. Don't talk to me about carbs this month, Proud Ma. Yuka Frito, what's up? Key and Peel, Manuel, thank you. Yes, those guys are pretty funny. Do I think Adam Aaron might do something, Mr. DC says? Stupid again, so AMC will not squeeze. Good Lord, I hope not. What would be something stupid if it was a yes vote and then the reverse split happens and then he waits to do a dilution and the price gets run down? I'd be pretty upset. I'd want to know the logic. Why did you wait 5 weeks on APE, and why are you doing that again on AMC? If the whole point is to raise money at a higher price, I would not be happy. I'll tell you straight up. Will he do something like that? Do I think he will do something like that? I don't think he will, but he proved me wrong on APE, so we'll have to wait and see. Grandma Lou, what's going on? Anubis says most apes that I know own over 1,000 plus. Yeah, that's most of the people that I know own 1,000 or way more than 1,000. Depends on when you started buying, I guess. So, and I don't want people putting your share count in the chat. You never know who's watching. David, what's up, primo? Saludos. Anubis says, fun fact, my real name is literally Adam Aaron. What are the chances of that? Oh, man, Anubis, be careful. Someone's going to make a video about you. Did you guys see that video over on the Clickbait channel? Guys, I got a conspiracy theory for you guys. There's another person called Adam Aaron, and he's in the finance world. Oh, now we have 3 of them? Oh my gosh, 3 Adam Aarons exist. Let's see. Maybe we can find some more. FT says a ton of friction between 7 and 8. Yeah, we're going to have, let me pull up the hourly here. Zoom out. I just think looking at the chart, getting over 7 this week is going to be easy. But getting over 8 and then over 9, that's where we're going to have some sticking points. So I'm going to wake up every day optimistic and trusting my own belief that the street has artificially pushed this price down. You saw all the hit pieces against Avatar 2. It was going to do horrible. No way would it get $2 billion in worldwide revenue. Theaters are dead. I think that was all a FUD campaign. So that could also have something to do with this run up this week. We will see, guys. We will see. Jeffrey, what's going on? He's calling out Prometheus and Pete. Prometheus, what's up, brother? Jeffrey Roche, good evening to you. Peace Love says Ape right now is moving up and down with AMC. No arbitrage until they drop the prospectus. Well, I mean, it did move up from 60 cents to almost $2, and then it got whacked. But at least it's moving in tandem. It's not one's not going up and the other one going down. So I'll take that. David says, I earn my money on pesos. I'm doing my best, and I am a XXX shareholder since 3 years ago. God bless you, brother. Scavenger, what's up, friend? Oh, your last name, Anubis, is Aaron, not Aaron with one A. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I read that too fast. We should have you on the channel for an interview, though, Anubis. Tony Denaro interviews Adam Aaron, and I'll spell it the right way with 2 A's. And I'll just ask you about how long you've been an AMC investor or what your thoughts are. That would be funny. It's not clickbait, guys, if I spell his name right. Dream of Stuff. The last time I checked this morning on Avatar 2, we were just over 1.9 billion worldwide. So why is my hat CMA? It should say AMC, unless the camera's flipped. Doc Zeno, depending if we get the end of January run up in AMC or not, the next known catalyst, wink, 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 for the people that are just listening, those winks means slight hint of sarcasm here. The next known catalyst is my birthday in March. No new chairs on the way. Alan, good evening to you. Danny says, what's up? Tony D. Diaz, Grandpa Barney, Doc Zeno, 8, Blazin, Yuka. Oh, did I miss Blazin in here? What's up, brother? Headstock Harem. Jersey Recycler, are you going to big, okay, some profits on your AMC calls if it runs up to $7 or $8 zone? My strike price is $8, but they're March calls. So if it goes up to 8, I'll be green. I'll just have to see what kind of velocity we have going up from there. Ideally, I'd like to get something over $8 before I sell those calls, but we'll see. Robots and Hobbies says, what do I think about markets with May, saying the conversion from AMC to APE to AMC might not be 1-to-1 due to the APE dilution? The conversion is 1-to-1. That I have no doubt. On my Twitter and on my community tab, I posted that due diligence. Conversion, as far as I'm reading straight from the documents, the conversion, and I put screenshots, the conversion is 1-to-1, unless the split happens before the conversion. Then there is a conversion formula. But if the conversion happens in the reverse split, it should be 1-for-1. Look, that's just my understanding of the documents. I've posted the exact screenshot of where I got that from for you guys to look at. And I didn't see where Markets with May said that, but I would welcome anybody who has a different opinion that wants to explain it a different way to let me know. Cheesemo says we better be ripping in March on my birthday. That would be the great. I see a lot of March birthdays in the chat. Be a great birthday present for all of us. But I'd rather take January. Thoughts on SoFi, Doug? I like SoFi for a 5-year play. It's still got some risk in it. Still a young company, but I think if you pick it up cheap enough and you're okay with the risks, it has some potential in that space. You know, looking at all the competitors, that is one of my personal top picks, and I do have some SoFi. Certainly a lot better buying it down here at $3, $4, $5 than when people were pumping it at $28 in 2020 or $23 in 2021. Get that good entry. Is it risk-free? No, they still have their challenges, but I like to have a few of those plays. Angelina ATF, what's going on? I see a couple people calling out Pantheon. Did I miss him in the chat, or are you guys just saying hi just in case he's listening in? Robert says, Tony, I believe in AMC and will continue to hold, but I'm wondering if AMC insiders have been buying. I haven't seen any buying that I can recall from AMC insiders. But, you know, to be blunt, the bulk of their pay is shares that is granted to them. So if, let's just say, if you were getting paid from your company 80% of your compensation in shares that they gave you as a reward for performance, would you then on top of that go in and buy more with your own money, or would you be diversifying in other stuff? I know what I'd be doing. And it would not be buying more of the same thing, because I believe in a diversified portfolio. But it, you know, sitting in my retail investor seat now, would I like to see the board of directors or the people in the executive suite buying shares? Yeah, of course I would. But they are heavily compensated in shares, so I don't hold that against them, that they're not out buying it. I get it why everybody is insisting on that. It's a good warm fuzzy, right? Makes you feel better as a retail investor. I totally get it. I would like to see that too, but the reality is they've got millions and millions of shares either that they're holding or coming in future vesting. So any financial planner is going to tell you, guys, do not have all your investments, do not have all your portfolio, do not have all your net worth in one play. I know you guys don't like to hear that. If the folks that are running a company are offloading some of their risk, but that is basic financial management. Prometheus says, what the hell is up with March? 8 of my friends have birthdays in March. Quite a few people from this community. It's bullish as fuck as far as I'm concerned. The more y'all keep on telling me you have March birthdays, if something doesn't pop off in January, March is sounding real squeezy. Wink, wink, wink for all the haters listening in. Sometimes Tony Denaro says stuff that's a joke, but he sounds serious. You got to get on my level, guys. Did I see all the Davo crap? Are we talking about the World Economic Forum? I saw Greta got arrested. And I've seen some headlines about the World Economic Forum, but I'm not paying a lot of attention to it. Maybe tonight or tomorrow morning, I'll catch up. Thoughts on BKTI? All right. Let me put this. Chart back up here. I don't know what this company does. BK Technologies. I see headlines about radios and delivering product to the FCC. So I think we can probably figure that out. Let's go back to the chart here. Hard for me to say without looking at their financials. Clearly, they've been on a recent run up, so that is bullish. But without looking at the financials, which I don't have time to do on this particular live stream in depth. But let me just do a quick, are they growing or not? Total revenue looks okay. So been a little bit up and down. Yeah. I'm not seeing any major red flags jumping out at me, but for me to say much more about whether or not I could recommend a company or what I think about it, I would need to. Usually, I like to spend about an hour going through financial statements, learning more about the company. Right now, the chart is in a bit of a bullish pattern. Resistance at 5 and 6. I don't know what your plan is if you're looking at for a long-term hold or a short-term trade. Shawley, my thoughts on Mullen. We talk about it a lot. You guys ask me about Mullen a lot. Look, do yourself a favor. So it's not just me telling you this, but I want you to pull up that 10K for Mullen that just dropped in the past couple days, their annual report. And I want you to just skim through at least the first 2 pages of warnings. If you really sucker for punishment, read all 30. The first 30 pages are all warnings from the company about their risks. I'm not exaggerating. 30 pages of warnings. The ones that stood out to me in the first couple pages was our auditor has raised concern about our ability to be an ongoing concern. That's a big red flag. The second one that raised an eyebrow for me is we may never produce a vehicle. And the third one that stood out was the Mullen 5 is not going to be in production expected until Q4 of 2024, which is a little further out than I thought. I was hoping for Q1 for you guys that are holding Mullen. So I'm just saying there's a lot of risk in Mullen. I'm not a Mullen cheerleading channel. My price target to buy it, I've never bought Mullen, but my price target to buy it would be around 15 cents. There's a meeting coming up. I think someone said in the chat today, I wasn't sure on the date, but someone said it's the 19th. I thought it was the 23rd, but somewhere here in the next few days, there'll be a meeting talking about a reverse split, but more concerning to me is the dilution up to 5 billion shares. So they got to raise cash. They got to do it. I'm not knocking them for raising cash. I'm just saying a stock that's beaten down to 20 to 40 cents, doing more dilution and doing a reverse split, there could be some opportunities if you're patient to pick it up cheaper. And all that being said, for me, it's a speculative play, not a sure thing. They got a long road to tool up a factory and get into real production on their Mullen 5. Long road, a couple years. So you're gonna have to ride that one for a while. The nice thing about it is when news comes out, retail likes to make it pop. So that's what I'm looking at for Mullen. Retail momentum. If I was holding for 15 cents, I didn't get it. But if I had bought at 20, I would have sold at 40 last week. Thoughts on Genius, Rogue Papa? I did see that their CEO was on Charles Payne today. Congrats. I'm all for all of these CEOs that are bringing this naked shorting, synthetic shares to the forefront. There's nothing wrong at all at getting more attention on that. So that's right now. What do we have on that list? GTII, Finger, I think maybe Created, and now we're adding Genius, ticker GNS, to the list. All of these stocks are being targeted because of their financials, just like AMC. So they all have their issues, including GNS. So I say trade it with caution. There might be an opportunity to get some retail momentum play off of it if people think that being on Charles Payne and hiring Wes Christian is going to do something in the short term. You might be able to get a day trade off of that, or a 2-day trade. But I think that the legal process that they're endeavoring to go through, my guess, guys, is going to be in the scale of multiple years. What did I hear him say on Charles Payne? Charles asked him, "What are you doing?" The CEO of Genius, "What are you doing to work with the SEC?" He's like, "Well, I've talked to a bunch of other CEOs, and basically what they told me is the SEC, you're not going to get anywhere. So we're doing our own thing. We're taking our own measures." And I'm assuming he means Share Intel and West Christian. But honestly, pave the way, gentlemen. Whoever wants to go down that road and start trying to shine some light on these cockroaches, let them do it. If they have success, that will benefit all of us. So hat tip to them. Dream of Stuff says, doesn't AMC have an investment in NCMI? I believe so. That's the advertising company. I think they were invested in it, then they got out, then they got back in. I've slept since I've read all of that. But if you have any questions, check the financial statements. I think that company's been struggling, and I think that they have a lawsuit with Cineworld, Cinegroup, whatever, NCMI. It's not one that I keep up with like I do with the other movie companies. Let me see if I see a headline here. Here's one from January 4th. Cineworld nears new ad deal that may spurn national cinemedia. Yeah, so my memory was briefly correct. Deborah Hartley says, Tony, thank you. Thank you, Deborah. This show doesn't work without you guys and your great questions. Cool on the stool. I like that. I've not heard that before. Tony, Gus, Alan, and another has questions. All right. Sorry, they're going by fast. And I was looking at this screen. Let's see. Gus, Alan, and someone else. All right. Alan says, with this push for electric vehicles, how will this impact rolling blackouts in states like California? Great question. I think that most Municipalities are not prepared for 100% conversion to electric vehicles. So I don't even know if they're prepared for the aggressive timeline that some of these states have lined up. Most of the people that I've talked to in the industry, the power grid industry, whether I know them personally or I'm just watching videos, say that there's no way they're going to be prepared. So I have the same question. How are we going to be ready for that? And if you're in a state like California or Texas that has rolling blackouts, what's going to happen when everybody has an electric car? 75% of us. By the way, speaking of electric cars, did you see the new Corvette? And do you think that a Corvette should have an electric model? Do you think a pickup truck like Ford should have an electric model? I guess that depends if you're a working man or you just drive a pickup truck because it looks cool. Let's see if I can find Gus's question. I see Danny. I already talked about the fractal trading, Danny. I've said a bunch of times, I'd love for the fractal algorithm repeating pattern theory to be true, but it's not something I talk about on this channel. I will give a hat tip to anyone who gets it right, but I've been watching that stuff for over, for 2 years now. And I've said several times over 2 years, it's hard to look at a chart and pick out patterns based on a pre-programmed repeating algorithm and say that you figured it out. I'll send the man a bottle of scotch if he calls it right. We all want him to be right? Me right there along with you. But you're not going to get me talking about computerized, pre-programmed patterns on this channel. I'll leave that to the folks that want to do that. Captain Arma says, does Mullen even have a product yet? They have a prototype. They've got a prototype and they've bought a couple companies, Bollinger being one, and they signed that licensing deal with IGO. But no, they do not have a product yet. That is the risk, guys. And they're saying their product will not be, their forecasting will not be built until 2 years from now, Q4 2024. All right, Gus says, Tony, in your opinion, do you think the move up with AMC and APE is the actual start of the move up heading closer to the vote? Or do I think that it was a bull trap waiting to pull the rug out? Gus, I'm just going to say I hope it's not a bull trap. But it could be. I do think that the price has been suppressed with unnatural shorting and unnatural selling. A lot of that shorting just being on a same-day basis. Short, let it fall, buy back in, repeat. And we'll just have to see, Gus. We got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 more days to see who is right, what is going on. Did I miss a question, Angelina? What I do know, Gus, is that the more that we're able to push it up, the more people will come back. That could be the bull trap, or that could be the start of getting some of the newer shorts flushed out of the system, especially the smaller guys and the retail traders that were trying to short it at $6 or $7 and write it down to $1. Let's flush them out and then see what happens. Deborah says EV trucks aren't going to be out here on the road as in big truck for a whole lot of years. I think, God, man, if you're a working man and you use your truck for hauling shit or trailers, I hope that you've watched some of the videos about what happens to the battery life when you're hauling stuff. My shirt says cigar, whiskeys, steak, cigars, whiskey, steak, and freedom. America, fuck yeah. We did diverge from the indexes today. That is major good news on AMC, GameStop, and AMC Ape and GameStop. Couple of other plays did too, little meme stocks. It could be the start of something new. I am as excited as you guys, but I have an obligation not to overhype things. When it's running, guys, tomorrow, if it's running, I'm going to be here celebrating right there with you. But I don't want to be I don't want to be one of those guys that's forced to go away in a couple months because I overhype something. You catch my drift? Scott says, I love cigars, but my wife kicks me outside to smoke them. Just kick her outside, Scott. It's your house. Dream of Stuff says, still waiting for the Tesla tank. What is up with the Tesla pickup truck? When are we going to see that thing? Steve says, I drive an electric forklift. The more you abuse it, the faster the battery drains. Yep. What is the average battery life, Steve, on an electric forklift? Those things have some big batteries on them. And there's some, aren't there some, there's some that have, I'm not a forklift driver. I've been in warehouses, but there's some that have tanks on them. Is that propane or hydrogen? What is the other main energy source for forklifts? Propane? 3 to 4 hours on a battery charge for a forklift. Are you serious? When will the credit cards come out and when will popcorn come out, Thomas? Two good questions. I saw a great tweet. Sorry for stealing your tweet and not remembering your name. Whoever tweeted that out, asking Adam Aaron, can we get a popcorn press release on National Popcorn Day, which is January 19th, if I'm not mistaken? Wouldn't that be a treat to get an announcement on retail popcorn on National Popcorn Day? Or is it the 17th? Let me Google it. National Popcorn Day. Yeah, Thursday, January 19th. It is half off of popcorn at AMC theaters on Thursday. If you're looking for a way to save some bucks. Sam says propane and 3 types of batteries depends on the hauls and the lifts. And diesel in the Super Duty ones. Much respect to you guys that can handle those forklifts, man. I was never a warehouse manager, but I was around that environment from time to time. And when you're a good forklift operator, you can work some magic. 2001 SK, is that Sneeze? He says, I own a Tesla Model 3 Performance, and it is the most amazing vehicle I've ever owned. Best road trip vehicle. So let me ask you, since you own one, what do you think about an electric Corvette? Should the Corvette have a quiet electric model, or should you have, is part of the experience hearing the revs and the noise of the engine? I don't know if that, if you're not a Corvette fan, if anyone can answer that question, but if any of y'all have owned a Corvette, let me know what you think. Tampa Bay Buckeye, what's up, brother? He says, purely speculative, but has anyone noticed when Slam Corp was SPAC'd, IPO'd, they have only a 12-month window. $10 Slam warrants expire on February 4th. I have not looked into that. Most of when was their IPO? What is it? Typical warrant warrant exercise date on SPACs is 6 months, I think, right? So their IPO, it looks like their IPO was in April of 2021. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'd have to go read the documents. He's saying they have a 12-month window plus 10. Plus 10 what? Did I know AMC is selling icy machines? I did not. What do you mean? They're selling they're selling capital equipment that they don't need anymore? I do know that they've come out with some fantastic shakes. I'm not a big icy drinker, not at 7-Eleven and not at AMC. Just, getting a icy in a movie theater doesn't really it doesn't sound appetizing to me. I guess there's people that really like ices, slushies, whatever you want to call them. But man, those milkshakes look good. I could do one of those, a milkshake and a burger. Clark says, not to brag, but I was really good at forklift driving. I bet you were, Clark. Respect, brother. MGAM cost to borrow is still high. Let me put an Ortex chart up over here. I was looking at MGAM's price this morning. I haven't checked the short interest and cost to borrow recently, but we'll pull it up. .6%. I think I remember posting that in the Discord last week that the short interest is low, but the cost to borrow is high. This was the same situation that I think that was going on. What was that other play we were looking at last week? Last month, that had super low short interest and a very high cost to borrow. It's going to take my memory banks a few minutes to see if I recall it. I don't think it was GTII. It was one of those penny stocks. At any rate, yeah, I'm looking over here at Interactive Brokers. There's not a whole lot of shares available. This is just my guess on these stocks, is that there's not institutions holding them. There's not ETFs holding them. It's mostly retail holding them. And if you guys are smart and got your share lending turned off, there's not many brokers that have shares to lend out, even if the short interest is low. What does that mean? When retail FOMO is coming into a stock like MGAM, you can keep it moving up because the shorts can't really do anything. But the way I look at that is you're just betting against the other guy. It's retail against retail. So you don't want to be last to the party leaving that play in a situation like that. Cost to borrow being high to me with a 2% short interest is so what? Nobody's shorting it because they can't. That's just retail trading. Steven says, I think it was Mullen, high cost to borrow, low short interest. Thank you, Steven. Let me go back and check. What would I do without you guys to be my external memory banks? MULN. I know that I talked about it in the Discord, but that was days ago and I already forgot. Mullen has 11%. That's higher than 2. Someone search back in the daily stock chat in the Discord and find which ticker I was talking about last week. Cost to borrow is only 15% on Mullen. Scott says max pain for AMC is $9 Friday. Don't the bad guys usually cover that? You got to look at what is the ratio of calls and puts at that strike price or any strike price, Scott. Typically, not always, but typically the way max pain works out is the price will trend up to the max pain. The problem I'm having is I'm depending on what data source I'm using right now. For AMC, I'm getting some saying $7, some $7.50, and some $15. So, damn it. I mean, do I need to do the math myself? Why can't, this is just math. Why can't these websites get this shit straight? Am I going to gamble on some GNS? 6 on at this moment. I'm not planning on it. There just wasn't enough compelling about them as a company. But if I see a few more days of continued momentum, maybe it was GNS that was the one that had no short interest, which was ironic because he's talking about all the shorts and synthetics. Let me pull it up. Yeah. All right. Look at this. GNS estimated short interest is not even 0.5% right here. Cost to borrow is around 100%, but the free float is not even 0.5%. I hate to be crude, but I'm going to do it anyways. I think that the CEO is playing retail to get you to bid up his stock because he's got a shelf offering on the table, and he'd like to sell those shares into your money. And I think that for Genius, that all of this press, gosh, guys, I hate being the slap in the face, but I think he's playing you. The CEO of Genius. This is just my opinion. Now, his allegation that he's being illegally naked shorted, synthetic shorted, and that might be true. When Wes Christian and Share Intel provide the data, I'll give it a review. But right now, I'm looking at the reported short interest, which was what Roaring Kitty, Deep Fucking Value used, which is what we use every day to analyze every play. When I look at the reported short interest on GNS, there's basically none, guys. That's not a play that I get in for a short squeeze. Not ever. I would never consider that a short squeeze by my criteria. Not even 0.5% reported short interest. Nope. Could you get some FOMO, retail momentum, day trade opportunities? Yeah, but there's no way I'm going to tell you that GNS is a short squeeze play. And if you're going for the Share Intel West Christian theory, I think you would agree with me that that process probably is going to take years. So how long are you willing to buy GNS? How long are you willing to hold it? And are you willing to buy it and hold it at 50, 60 cents when it was at 30 or less just a few days ago? Just asking hard questions. Jordan says, just like Adam Aaron's going to bid up the price himself with the reverse split, Jordan. But yeah, he'll want us to not sell and to buy after the reverse split. For the this is CEO Handbook Chapter 2. I've talked about it every week. CEO Handbook Chapter 1 is if you have a price run up and you have shares available on a shelf offering, GNS is in this category. When that price run up happens, you sell into that. AMC did it in 2021. GameStop did it. Chapter 2 says, if you have a reverse split, dilute. Nothing about what Adam Aaron is planning is any surprise to me. I talk about it every week. He's got to raise money. All these companies got to raise money. If you don't recognize the problems that a company that you're investing in has, if you're not reading the financials and reading the dilution reports, the offerings that are coming up, convertible shares, convertible bonds, whatever they have, if you're not aware of all that stuff, you should be learning how to do that stuff. Because they will sell shares into your price run up. I see it every week on many, many stocks. Alan says the CEO of Genius made a genius move. He did. I mean, I respect the guy a lot, Alan. I'm not trying to shit on the man. He said, my company needs money. We got an offering coming up. What can I do to get my stock price up? Because we're getting beat up based on my own financials. I got no real shorts. Let's see. There's a lot of people talking about naked shorting and synthetics. Let me jump on that bandwagon. Look, guy, much respect for recognizing the opportunity. But I'll withhold any other comment until we see the Share Intel report 3, 6, 12 months from now. I'm just telling you my opinion right now. Crystal says, I can't tell you how anxious I am about the debt ceiling stuff. They'll figure it out, Crystal. I'm losing 0 cycles of sleep over the debt ceiling. They always figure it out. Now, it may go down to the wire the very last minute. That's politics. Six Sun, why do I think every stock has been moving up? Not every stock, Six Sun. We had 3,200 decliners today and 3,400 advancers. It was 50-50 today. Two of the indexes closed in the red. The real question is, why are some of the meme stocks moving up? I don't have, if I had a good answer for you, Six Sun, I would have made a 5-minute video. I've got my thoughts. I'm trying not to get too conspiracy theory on you yet, so let's just take it day by day. Who does our friend the Marine have coming on tomorrow, Deborah? Is it the CEO from the one I was just talking about from Genius? Oh, I've created. Okay. Thank you. DC says, totally agree with you, Tony, regarding GNS. Yeah, I hate saying stuff like that. I'm not trying to rug pull the dude. Nobody knows me anyways. I'm a blip on the YouTube radar. A minuscule blip. He will probably never see this. And neither will most people that are buying GNS. For my 5-minute rant on GNS today, there'll be 20 clickbait channels saying GNS to the moon. But I want you guys to make smart trades. So watch it for momentum, but don't buy into the hype. PV Quickshot says AMC was 64% traded off exchange today. We do try and make a distinction between off exchange and dark pools, but I get your drift. Angelina, how you doing? Thank you. I love you too. Let me pull up the off exchange data chart. Change. Tell you why I don't put this data up a lot. I know a lot of people are fascinated talking about this stuff. I've just never really. I've been watching it every day for a long ass time. Haven't really seen a whole lot of correlation. Except I will say that on days, the most correlation I've seen is, and we can go down here and look at this data. Here's what he's talking about: off exchange, 64%. So that means off of NYSE, off of NASDAQ, and off of Amex, 64% of the trades occurred. Not all of those are dark pool, but they're off of the main exchange. What I have noticed is that on days that this off exchange number was 50% or less, we had some run ups. Let's just pick one and see if it's still true. 11/30/22, it was at 43%. 11/30/2022. I just stopped looking at it because I couldn't find a strong enough correlation to any of that data mattering. And I only have so many things that I can keep an eye on. 11/30/22. Nope. We went down that day. The off exchange that day was 43%, and we still went down. So I was really interested in that data for a long time. I looked at it every day, and the longer I looked at it, the more I convinced myself it didn't matter. But I get it. A lot of people thinks it matters. Think that it matters. Respect, man. You guys use the tools that you like. In my world, I don't use that tool anymore. Someone said, "Where is Massalorian?" I did talk to him tonight, about an hour and a half before I went live. He was working frantically to try and finish up a video for you guys, and he was hoping to be done in time to come on live tonight. I went ahead and sent him the invite just in case, but I suspect that he's still in the editing and publishing phase. He can join in, if we're still live. He's welcome to hop in. Ben the plumber says, "Tony OG here. Haven't checked in for quite some time. Welcome back, Ben. Am I still in the days? Still in what?" Jason says, "Some guy on YouTube claims ANC was halted up today. Is that true? Let me see. I don't recall seeing any halts, but I do have I've got a halt bot in my Discord. I can scan it real quick. Anybody remember seeing one on AMC today? I don't see one. Nope. I've got a log of all the halts for every ticker today. I do not see AMC in that list. My bot could be wrong. Massalorian's in the chat, Angelina said. "Massalorian, get on camera, damn it. Come say hi to the folks." Danny said, "I see KC is still up. If KC is around and he wants to come on, I'd be happy to have him on." I usually I send him an invite every night I'm live, but he usually is tired or got family stuff going on, and I don't blame him one bit. I mean, it's tough to live stream 8 hours during the day and then come in and do it again in the evening and then be up at 5 in the morning and do it again. But yeah, even if KC, if you want to come in and say hi for 5 minutes, that's cool. These guys got to have a life too. It takes a lot out of you to sit there as long as KC does during the day. Steven says they're going to make a statue of KC by the time this is over. I was hoping that A&B Investments would be listening in today too, and we could get him on for a minute. Ben says, "Do you still stream in the day?" I did for a couple hours today, Ben. I'm always watching. I'm not always streaming. Depends if I have plays that I'm working on or not. And my mornings right now have been taking care of my wife because she was in an accident right after Christmas. So soon we'll get back to full time during the day. At least she's not stuck in bed 24/7 now. She's able to be mobile and get up and around, and I don't have to worry about her falling down or losing her balance. Well, I do worry about it, but I don't have to hold her arm to walk her around the house. Someone said, "Why is Tony backwards?" Am I backwards, guys? I'm going to look at my own channel. Does it look backwards to you? I have a setting on my camera, which I'm not going to change now, but I can flip it. I remember when Alex came and did that infamous stream with us, she asked me to flip the camera. I was like, why? She said, I just want it flipped. Okay. Alan says, what are DRS? What does it mean? I don't know if that was a question for me. I'm pretty sure everybody here by now knows what DRS is. Who was the one that said AMC had a halt today? Just satisfy my curiosity, guys. All right. I can flip the camera so that the words aren't backwards. But I'm not going to do it while I'm live because I'll wiggle the camera and screw it up. Tell me. Someone said Lou. No, tell me for real. I need to see a couple of y'all. Who said AMC was halted today? I'll tell you what else I did last night. What is that new show out on HBO? I saw Phil for real tweeting about it. Is it called The Last of Us? Did I get that title right? I watched that last night. And I have not played the game, but Phil said in his tweet that they did an excellent job taking the game and turning it into a show. So out of curiosity, I went and I looked on YouTube, and there's a full gameplay. It's like a 10-hour video. And I just watched the first like 2 minutes of that. And goddamn, if it wasn't exactly like the episode on HBO. They literally took the exact script, the staging for the actors, everywhere they're supposed to be, the backdrops, the scenery, everything in the HBO show is just like the video game. I was astonished. And the show is good too, by the way. It stars I forget the gentleman's name, the actor that was in Narcos. He's a good actor. They had the same director from the game on the show. I listened to the podcast, and I think what was it? The directors or the producers of that show, Last of Us, were the ones that also did Chernobyl, which was also a good show. Anibus says, I just looked at, did you look at The Last of Us or did you watch it? Anyways, if you're looking for a fun show to watch, episode 1 is out if you have HBO or HBO Max. Oh, stock and crypto guy. Yeah, that guy's, I don't mean to call people out, but his due diligence leads a little bit to be desired. He was the one that look, dude, if you happen to be watching and you're making Mullen pump videos and you're not talking about the 30 pages of warnings, and your DD consists of look at the pretty car guys, look how beautiful this prototype is. And it's going to be made in the USA. Seems like a great investment to me. If that's the extent of your DD, you're doing your viewers a disservice, my friend. You just skip over the 30 pages of warnings, or that their Mullen's own auditor has concerns about the company being viable as an ongoing concern. Just skip over that. Look at the pretty car. Sorry, I don't mean to be angry against him, but he's also the one that had a dream that God told him that ape was 1/100th of an AMC. So I'm a little irritated with the guy. Be better, my friend. Be better. Barry says, got in late. Did you give your take on what happened with AMC Ape? My theory at the moment, Barry, is the same thing I said this afternoon when I came on about the max pain. If we get over 750, then I'm going to have to think a little harder that maybe some of these videos that people are putting out about the January squeeze cycle could be correct. But right now, I'm concentrating on, can we get to 750? We got 3 days to do it. Let's see where we go tomorrow. If we're popping tomorrow, I'll sit here and stream with you guys all day tomorrow. Brian's having a blue moon with an orange slice. Oh man, I like that drink. Blazing, dropping some bombs. Cycle theory is horseshit. Well, you said it, not me. I said it as nicely as I could, Blazing. That I've watched all the cycle theory and algorithm pre-programmed pattern theory videos that I can stomach, and I've made my opinion many times in the last 18 months and pissed a lot of YouTubers off saying that shit don't work. On stocks like this. That's the nicest way I could say it, but I always hope that they're right. Mud Puddle, wake up. What kind of job you doing, Mud Puddle? Get up and do some jumping jacks. I'll never forget being sleepy at work or sleepy in class. The solution was always stand up. And the worst episode of that was when I was in my military training. I was at a 1-year tech school in Biloxi, Mississippi, and in that program that I was in for electronic countermeasures, our books were classified top secret, so we couldn't even take them out of the building, which meant we had no homework. So you're going to get your electronics training, and you're training specific to that system on the airplane, and you only have your daytime hours. So we would party it up every single night. A lot of nights spent at the club there on base, drinking, getting in trouble. And every single day, they do not like it in military tech school if you're sleeping. That does not go over well. So the whole class would be, everyone would be standing up at the back of the room. And yes, later in my 20s, in my corporate job, there were probably some days where I was standing up at work. And then then I kind of got out of that phase. That's just silly. Security at a major university. All right, my friend. Much respect to you. So is it a walking around security job, Mud Puddle, or are you driving? Danny, are you a professor or a student? Danny says no one ever sleeps in my class. I might have missed a chat. Steven says, Tony, can you address the Sean Goodman sale? Thank you for asking, Steven. I did see that Sean Goodman sold, and I just spent a couple minutes looking back at the last several years, guys. And it looks like every time that Mr. Goodman, look, the bulk of, and I did talk about this at the beginning of this live stream also. All these guys that are executives at AMC, the bulk of their pay is in awarded stock options and shares. Mostly shares. I don't know if there's any options. But the bulk of their pay, the bulk of their income is in awarded shares. So if you're the type of guy that likes to, if you're going to, let's just say they're going to pay you $5 million a year and $1 million is in cash and $4 million is in shares, and you build yourself a $5 million lifestyle, what are you going to do when your shares vest, when your awards vest? You're going to sell them because you built yourself a $5 million lifestyle. You got kids in private school. Your wife's driving a fancy BMW. You got that second house in the Hamptons. You got the boat to pay for. Maybe he just needs the money. But what I notice is he has a pattern. Every time his shares vest, he sells them no matter what the price is. So I said earlier today, I would be more concerned if he was stacking AMC shares up for a decade or 5 years, and then all of a sudden last weekend sold them. I would be worried about that. Seeing that someone has a predictable pattern of vest followed by a sell, that does not bother me. When you see everybody dumping everything after they've been holding them for a long time, that should raise the hair on the back of your neck. If they have a pattern of just selling, well, guys, that's their income. I can't hate on the dude for that. Now, some people will. Some people will say, well, they should hold it no matter what because they think it's going to get better. Do you know the lifestyle he built for himself? Do you know how many ex-wives he has to pay alimony to, child support? Like, how can you just cast a judgment like that without knowing nothing about the man? I don't know. But I know that I got paid with awarded stock options and shares, and that I sold them when I wanted, and I don't care what people said. That was a long time ago, but it was way more with the rate of growth that my company was going through. My awarded stock options were way more than my salary, which was, over 6 figures. And I sold them when I either was going to buy something, or the stock price was high, or I was worried about the stock price going lower, or I needed to buy some property. I sold them when I want. And I just said, thank God I didn't have 4 million people looking over my shoulder managing my finances for me. Let the man do what he wants. Until you've been in a position where 80% of your income is in awarded stock options and grants, you probably shouldn't be saying anything. Stephen, all right, I'm gonna DM you the link for AB. I'm gonna DM it to you in Discord, Stephen. And by the way, you're welcome to come on as well. Sufyan, you as well, if you're around. Anybody else that wants to come on tonight, hit me up. Baldy says the ex-wife statement is the realest statement ever. It really irritates me, people on YouTube or Twitter casting judgment on somebody that has a different lifestyle than you, and you know nothing about their personal finances or their personal life. Like, how far be it from me to throw stones. To make an assumption that he's doing it because he thinks the price is going to go down, you got to be a fucking idiot to just say that without knowing anything about the man. Yes, I will call you an idiot for saying that. You're just making an assumption. Doc Zeno got a free martini. Have you tried my free tequila trick yet, Doc? Free shot of tequila trick that I've shared from time to time on here. AB, what's up, brother? Sound check. I don't know if you're coming on audio or audio and visual. There he is.
How are you, Tony? Thanks
How
for
are
having
you?
me, brother.
I'm doing good.
So far, so good.
Guys, I just want to say out of the gate, I love AB because he keeps it real. I will tell you straight up, and AB already knows this. We do not agree on everything. I've been leaning one way with my due diligence on the vote. AB's been leaning the other way. But what I appreciate about certain people in this community is we can have disagreements or different opinions and work through things by sharing stuff. And AB, let's hope that this doesn't end in a shouting match today and wipe away all those good words I just said about you.
Never that, never that. I have a great deal of respect for you, Tony, and we go way back, as you and I both know this. The reason for any of this that we both do for the entire community is to get to the safe landing, or in other words, the land of milk and honey together. And that's all what it's all about. You know, many other people have different agendas, and sometimes it's so easy to see through, but none of that between us here, Tony. So again, I got a great deal of respect, and hopefully Scarlett is doing much better as we speak.
Thank you. She's up and around, so better but not pain free. I just want to say, AB, I wish that like I could have everybody on that, that shares your. I know from watching your videos, you're not in favor of the vote, but I think I heard you say, maybe I'm just hearing Stephen in the back of my head. Are you against the vote even though we haven't seen a proxy, or are you telling people let's wait till we see a proxy? Where are you standing on that?
So I am against the proxy, specifically like the conversion part of it, and that's before even issuing it out. Now, things could change after the proxy gets issued, because obviously there's going to be a great detail in the fine print. We want to know, what are they going to do? How fast are they going to do it? How late are they going to do it if it gets issued? I mean, as a low chance, there's still somewhat of a chance that he could yank that proxy completely out of the equation. I know it's very low. However, we still don't have anything on our hands. So nothing is final until we get it. And in that fine print, at the end of the day, contracts move the world these days. It's all about these contracts and these filings. So what will be in there will specifically clarify everybody's intent. If the silverback is trying to F the community, as many of these naysayers out there say, we will be able to see that in the proxy because it
Yep.
will have details. It's not just going to be like, okay, guys, we're doing a reverse stock split 10-1. We're also doing a conversion. Have it your way. Like, there's going to be many things in detail, and that's what we're waiting for. And I know for a fact you're second to none when it comes to reading and deciphering those 8K filings or any of these filings. So I'm looking forward to actually getting through those filings if they do get issued together, perhaps on the same table one day.
Yeah. I'm expecting those in a week. Maybe it might be a little longer than a week, but sometime after January 22nd. So we'll see.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So in the interest of making sure everybody knows I have no bias on this channel, I'm going to give you a minute, AB, to give us your elevator pitch of why you are against the vote. Now, I kind of already know because I've listened to some of your videos, but for those who don't listen to you regularly, channel name is A&B Investments, right?
Yes, sir.
Give us your elevator pitch, why you're thinking that right now that you're leaning towards a no vote.
Okay. I'm leaning toward it, which is perfect wording, Tony. Thank you for that. It's not final, complete yet, because again, we need to see the fine print. Now, with that being said, when we do a conversion, we're bringing in all the stuff that basically were sold to Antera, whether they hold through, obviously, as they said, through the proxy issuance and everything. And then when the reverse stock split happens, obviously dilution needs to happen. Adam Aaron will clearly go ahead and start selling so he could pay debt. We all can agree on that part. Now, with the common shares at that point, because there will be no more ape, it will all be converged in, and the reverse stock split would have taken place. Now, afterwards, there is still a possibility he could do, after all these things, he could still go ahead and do a forward stock split and send the float back to where it originally was at, which is around that 500 plus million. And he could easily say, hey, I took you back to where you were. No need to hate me anymore. But in doing so, that right there, if that was to happen, as soon as the conversion happens and the reverse stock split, we as the majority retail, as the majority owners of the float, we would lose that power of either the voting completely. We'll be entirely in the mercy of the company and the board. I love my voting power, and I want to hold on to it. In the same time, the very essence of Moass is that the shorts, when they come to that margin moment, or whenever they come to meet Jesus moment, they have to go through us. They need shares. And if we remember what happened with GME back in January, that was not dependent on what side of the fence people are on. Some people might say that was the short squeeze, and a lot of people think that that was not even the short squeeze. That was a squeeze that was a gamma squeeze that was followed due to the fact that there was shares needed, and those Wall Street bets crew and everyone else held on to their shares, and they were greedy. And eventually the market makers and the brokers had to take off the buy button and even suspend other runners, like AMC was the next best thing at that time. And they suspended a list. It was like about 12 to 14 stocks. And you know this very well, Tony. So if the shorts, in other words, have access to shares at much lower price targets, then theoretically Moass is off the table at that point, because they no longer have to get shares at a much higher price. Because again, I said this I think yesterday, I don't know if you heard this or not, but we as retail, we are a little more degenerate and greedy than institutes are. So if institutes have shares and they see their position, or they could dilute, in other words, if it's AMC or any other institute, and they see their position like 300, 400% up, the question will become, is their accountants will say, why are you still on board? Like, to many institutes, that's the trade of the year.
Yep.
And it will be talked about. They'll be good. Their balance sheets will be good for the rest of the year. So I'm not going to, this is not financial advice. You don't give financial advice. I don't either. But I do know that these price targets or these numbers where we at right now, or even if it was to surge another 100 or 200 or 300%, it's not going to move my, it's not going to get me to pivot or even think about. So that's my main thing. I know it took a little longer to go through it, but it's still, even with this long explanation, I still feel like I have a lot more to say, but we can, prepare for that for some other time.
I appreciate you sharing that with the folks. I do try and always present both sides. And since there's overwhelming content against the vote, I've been trying to provide some balance. I haven't made up my mind on the vote, and I won't until I see a proxy, but I've been trying to provide a little bit of counterbalance to the overwhelming no vote. I will ultimately, hopefully, give people a little bit better idea of what I think once we see the proxy statement. But guys, you have the vote. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to AB for instructions. But if you want to hear our thoughts, that's why we're here. We will share our opinions, our own mind, what we're looking at and where we're coming from. And I encourage all of you to listen to both sides and make up your own mind, because that's why you have a vote. And
Indeed.
I hope that you all place your vote. Don't abstain. Abstaining is not going to solve anything. At the end of the day, it's going to just be which one got more. AB, I've talked on, I don't know how often you listen to the channel, but I've said many times that I expect that if they do a reverse split, that it'll be followed by an immediate dilution, which I think is one of your concerns, right?
100%. I think it is one of my concerns, but it's an inevitable situation. Whether if the outcome is a no, they will dilute APE. If the outcome is a yes, they will dilute common shares.
That's what
dilution must happen.
That's what I want to make sure everybody's clear on. Like, whatever you vote, there's going to be more dilution, guys. Don't listen to people that tell you we can't vote yes because they're going to dilute. Guys, they're going to dilute even if you vote no. You're just going to get billions of more apes. How many billion? I don't know. 1, 2, 3. He has up to 4 billion more he could issue of ape if it's a no vote. So don't make any mistake. If your only reason to vote is you're worried about dilution, that is not a factor on the table. They need to raise money. They will raise money. And that's just I think it was you, AB, that last night when I was listening to you on Steven's channel, you said, I don't understand why now. And I've heard other people saying, why now? Like, what's the rush? I thought we were fine. No risk of bankruptcy. We're not going, we got plenty of cash. I don't look at it like that, AB, because I'm putting myself in the shoes of the executive suite, and they're looking at maybe having 500 million, 600 million at when they report Q4 earnings in cash. And if you're planning for all scenarios, including worst case, right? Because they should be strategically planning. They got their best case. That's what they tell us all the time. But they're also planning for worst case. You want to have extra cash in case the worst case, like, COVID-23 comes around. You don't want to go bankrupt. If all the theaters were to get shut again, let's just say absolute worst case, they would go bankrupt if they did nothing right now. No doubt in my mind. They'd be bankrupt in 2 quarters or less. So I think they're trying to be proactive, and this dilution that we're forced to deal with is a buffer, even though all of us are hopeful for better movies, more movies in 2023 and 2024. They're doing their job, which is to ensure the viability of the company by making sure they have enough liquidity and cash no matter what, just in case shit, as I like to say. That's the why now, in my opinion. They're just doing strategic planning.
I totally agree with you, Tony. Just to rephrase myself, or like my position on the whole why now thing. So my comment was, why now, as far as like all the conversion and the reverse stock split after just 5 months ago we issued ape, you know.
Okay.
My thing was derived from the idea that something is pushing the vehicle of this movement to a little bit faster than what we're anticipating. Like some other mechanics that are a little bit bigger or away from why the dilution or the company itself. So it's just outside forces. Now, as far as the dilution, whether it happens on the with the ape side or it happens with the common shares, if the outcome was a yes, my thing is there's obviously no reason to go ahead and, for example, like if the vote was a no, there's no reason for Adam Aaron, in my humble opinion, to go ahead and issue all 4 billion and sell them all at once to go anywhere with that. I mean, there's still the possibility of ape going right back up again, and we know at least until Antera sells their position, they're going to be at least, you know, holding on to that $1.20 plus or anything above 60 cents, because, you know, Antera is going to, these institutes are not in it to not make money. They're going to make money.
Antera, I think, is a predatory trading firm, just based on looking at their website and looking at how they trade. Once the deal is done, once the vote is done, if it were a no and they bought in at an average of, let's just say 60 cents, whatever it is, 58, 62.
They're going to dump.
Yes, they're going to lock in that profit. You'll immediately have them sell all of those shares. I think, unless there's something we're not seeing where they think that there's, you know, reason to hold because somebody else is fucked, right?
Yes.
And
we got to also keep.
That's the great unknown, right? That's the great unknown. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Everybody's got their theories. Either Adam Aaron's about to screw all of us, or he's the best strategic planner playing 4D chess in the world, and he knows everything that's happening. I don't know. I don't know how anybody else on YouTube pretends to know. Everybody's so certain they've got it figured out, but yeah, I think in a real world, if I was Antera and there was no other secret play going on, and I was up 100% and the vote was a no, I'd probably dump those shares.
Yes, we got to also keep our mind on one thing. Once ape was derived from AMC and given to the apes, one thing we do know for a fact, just before ape was issued, is that we controlled the float as retail did. So for each person that had 1-to-1 ratio with ape, we can't forget the fact that retail also holds a really nice chunk of ape float, you know. And from what I've been seeing, as far as the general consensus, people have been, you know, piling up on ape, even probably a little bit more than the common shares of AMC itself. There obviously been people that are buying both. Some are just buying one, but I know from the general sentiment that a lot of people have been piling up more, because, you know, it's kind of almost like a common sense thing. If you can get something for $1, or back when it was in the cents, and eventually if it goes through with a vote and you have another AMC share added in, a lot of people have been piling up on that just to try to make sure that they balance out the reverse stock split if it was to go through as well. You know, that way if their positions were a certain thing and they planned for a certain amount or anything in their financial planning, if the reverse stock split happens, now it sends their amount of shares becomes reduced. And now a lot of people have probably been using the ape equation to balance that out, so that when the reverse stock split goes through, they could possibly still have the same position that they had prior to the reverse stock split.
It's going to be interesting to watch. Like, as you guys know, if you've been tuning into this channel for any length of time, I'm not the hugest fan of reverse splits. Right? Let's just call it like it is. Everybody asks me about ticker XYZ, ABC, JKL. They're about to reverse split. I always say, is it a buy? I was like, well, if they reverse split on Friday and there's a dilution on Monday, it's probably not going to work out in your favor. So you understand why I'm torn on knowing what I'm going to do, right? But
100%.
But I also recognize the dilemma that AMC is in. So it's tough for me, AB, to have an opinion on this right now, because on the one hand, I want to see the company successful and I want to see retail investors successful. But I get it. I understand why people are worried about a reverse split and a dilution. I'm not minimizing that in any sense. I just think that the whole saying that it is because Adam Aaron is working for the hedge funds or he wants to bankrupt the companies, that talk I don't like. I don't think it's helpful. He's doing his job to save the company. It's our job as investors to make decisions about whether we want to stay in a play to support that company or not. Does that make sense?
1,000%, Tony. Reverse stock splits, I always refer to them as a company or an entity that kind of does addition by subtraction. So what they do is kind of like cutting off an arm to save the rest of the body. And that's kind of what reverse stock splits are kind of done. But now, as you think of it from that analogy perspective, it's never good to kind of, cut off something to save something else. But you never know. Like in every situation and every stock has a completely different dynamic. Some stocks, like penny stocks, they're already on the ropes of bankruptcy anyways, and they don't have any fundamentals whatsoever. So doing a reverse stock split just keeps them within the compliance of being on the NYSE. But however, it's kind of like a dying horse that is just on its way to dying regardless. And these shorts out there, as much as we don't like them, they're obviously very sophisticated and they have all the artillery to prey and be predatory on any of these. So they will smell. They're like sharks. They will smell the blood in the water. So I think that AMC is in a different category. And I seen a video that you have personally put up, and kudos to that. I mean, you always put quality content, Tony. Like I said, second to none. But AMC is a much bigger cap company than any of these other SCEI or yes, that too right there.
And
right all now. Of those. Yes, and even the short interest. Exactly. And the short interest also plays a big role in the whole equation. Who's really over leveraged on this? What will this cause? Like, this just every element makes a completely different component when it's all said and done. So I totally agree with you. Like, it's not always the best of thing to do a reverse stock split. I'm always for doing a forward split so that companies can make it a lot more cheaper of their stocks, so that many more people can be enticed to buy and come in and buy more shares of the company. Like Tesla did it, Amazon did it. Many of these big cap companies, obviously were not them, but all of those people did it. And that's something I would be in favor of. But again, we have our situation. We can't change the reality. We got to deal with it. We can't just run away with it. And like you said a little bit ago, like, we can't just start inventing conspiracies and say, oh, just because I don't like our reality of the fundamentals and our depth, that doesn't mean everybody else is out there to get us. Doesn't mean the board is 100,000% against us, and Adam Aaron is against us. We don't know. We're not with these people. We don't know like what's happening and what their true agenda is. We can only go with what we have physical proof over, so that we don't waste our time thinking about conspiracies. Once the fine prints come out in that proxy, I think right away I'll be the first person to put my 2 cents on it. and
I'll be
and and
I'll be
and
the
see where
second
that
one.
takes us. Well, that means we were both gonna go over it at the same time, and maybe I probably beat you according to the Wi-Fi connection. Maybe I got on there first, but but I definitely want the unification for the community, because that's what it's all been about from the beginning. We didn't have this kind of split and anything, and I still don't think there is a split. Ask anyone with any common sense. If you've waited 2-3 years for this investment and you're all about the movement and everything, whether the reverse stock split is a yes or a no, what is your options? Your options are pretty limited, at that point. You can either just sell and get out, or you can stick with the movement. And ultimately, the only person that can make those decisions is that person themselves, you know?
True words, my friend. You're a wise man for your younger years.
I'm learning from the best.
What else was I going to ask you? I'm scanning the chat to see if anybody have questions for AB while he's on here with the no vote thesis. AB, I think you use the word Moass?
Yes. Should I?
No, that's fine. I have no problem with people using that word. I don't use that word. I'm here for a good old fashioned stock squeeze. So for me,
Nice.
Moass people are the ones that think it's going to 500,000 a share. You remember those videos back in the day? It's going to be the mother of
Yes.
all short squeezes. That's never been
Yeah.
that's never been the basis of my channel.
I think it's
But
a Boston thing.
somewhere. But I empathize and even agree with those people that if there's a reverse split and a dilution, like your chances of a Moass are going to be dampened, right? There's no
Big time.
disagreement from any sensible person, I think, on that. But we have a target on our back because of our fundamentals, because of the debt. And unless you can miraculously deliver in the next couple weeks or months some evidence that gets Ken Griffin in jail, and we've been trying for 2 years, unless you can deliver that, the other option to keep working on is improving the fundamentals. Now, you might not get your Moass price, but you can get the shorts out of the play by improving the fundamentals, because they're like, well, we thought it was going to a penny, but they just raised another $1 billion in cash and paid off another $1 billion in debt at a 30% discount, or they raised $2 billion in cash, whatever it is. So I'm okay with that plan too, but I was never here for a $500,000 price target. I'm here for a good old fashioned squeezing, AB, and making us all a lot of money. But my price target might be different than some of these other people.
Touche to that, Tony. I totally agree with you on that point as well. At the end of the day, every person has a different position and a different amount, so it's only logical people with like a huge amount of shares that they collect profits probably at a sooner point than many with less shares. At the end of the day, everybody, me and Tony will probably definitely on this agree on this point, is that every person should already have a pre-plan onto what they're going to do with their investment. You don't want to walk in. The last thing you want to do is walk into, let's say, whether it squeezes tomorrow or Moass tomorrow, whatever terms we want to use for it. You don't want to walk into it with, let's see where this thing goes, because that is the ultimate. Everybody wants to get out on the top. But if I sit here, me and Tony, and count to you how many people exactly timed the top perfectly, I don't have any. and I don't know if Tony has any, that's a losing strategy. So I definitely, as a non-financial advisor, will say you have to have your points to secure your family. At the end of the day, this whole thing is not about marrying the stock. This whole thing is about the movement, about a chance at changing your life, financial stability or financial freedom, and only you, as I'm speaking to everybody, obviously in general here, can decide what that looks like and how that gets done. You know, you've waited, you sacrificed so much. This whole movement has been sacrificed since the beginning. One thing we also got to remember is, let's ask this question to us and perhaps answer the same question on behalf of the shorts. What's holding them in this years? Just like we're holding, they're holding. What does that tell us? For me, it tells me that somebody is trying to squeeze, both sides are trying to squeeze out the other. This person says, I think I can squeeze you first. And the other one says, I'm willing to hold, which is our side. I'm willing to hold until whatever it takes, until I squeeze you out. Because the pedigree of what's on the line is really huge. It's really huge for both sides. So at the end of the day, we've done a very good job at showing resiliency. We've done a good, we made a very loud and clear statement that we're not going anywhere. We love the stock. We love this company. And we got to always remember that even in the times of what's happening right now, we still have to, you know, hold true to our conviction of what made us make this investment. It wasn't, I didn't make my investment because I saw many people say, hey, AMC is good or whatever. No, I made my due diligence. So did everybody else, I assume, in here. And therefore, I went forward, and it just felt so damn good to know that there's millions of people also on my same side. That's what we need. Now, the other side knows that the best chance to squeeze us out is out of two things. One, they bankrupt AMC, and that's their dream, basically. That's their dream case scenario happening. The second one is that people either got over leveraged or get bored and can't hold for longer and sell their positions. And that way they can take their shares and obviously close their positions, marking their profits, and more so saving their own butts. Because if this thing takes off and not to the way that to their liking, well, obviously it's going to be to our liking. And that means that many people will be obliterated on the other side. So that's where my hope is for that thing. So I keep fighting for that reason, and I'm holding for that reason with everybody else.
Let me put out a what if scenario for you, just kind of dreaming for a second.
I love those.
If it was a yes vote, and if he say diluted 100 million AMC after a reverse split, let's just say it's at $50, right? And everybody's saying right after that happens, they're going to short it down and people are going to be mad and they're going to sell. It's going to drop from 50 to 5, AB. Do you realize, AB, that that's basically the equivalent of 50 cents a share right now? If you, and if AMC was diluting and selling shares from 50 all the way down, racking up billions of dollars, would you be willing to buy AMC at 50 cents at that point, i.e. $5?
For me, even though at that point, the short end obviously dropped tremendously, I would still pile up with this thing. This is personally just for me. I would still pile up because at the end of the day, I know the other side is still on the hook until they close. And we got to remember one thing. Every time in the past, AMC did any sort of dilution or selling, the price of AMC actually soared or went up many times, especially in 2021, in that June run up, you know? So there might be many shorts out there that are willing. Again, this is if the yes vote went through scenario. Many shorts out there that will be willing to take those shares and buy those shares so they can cover with them. And that could, we never know what's on the, you know, what's inside the pot until we lift over the lid, and what's cooking. Somebody could be on a margin at a certain point that no one else is aware of except themselves. And that could, we never know what's on the, you know, what's inside the pot until we lift over the lid, and what's cooking. Somebody could be on a margin at a certain point that no one else is aware of except themselves. And that could, we never know what's on the, you know, what's inside the pot until we lift over the lid, and what's cooking. 2008 taught us a very valuable lesson that the world was moving at a very nice and fast pace until Madoff, in one night, just called in and said, "Hey, I need like what $4 billion instantly, or 40 billion, like the very by 8 a.m. or the financial system is going to collapse." And so it did. So when it happens, there's not going to be signs. It's going to happen. If it blows down and it blows all over, like our dream case scenario happening, um, there's going to be no signs. It's just going to take over, and everybody's going to be losing their mind. That's for sure.
I agree with you. If it were to drop, God forbid, from 50 to 5, this worst case scenario that people keep worrying about, I would be buying it at that price, unless for some reason I thought AMC just let it run all the way down and didn't raise any money. But if I'm convinced that they are raising money as it is getting run down from dilution, then I'm going to capitalize off of what I would forecast would be a strong bounce once it finds a bottom, because the shorts are going to get out. The company, let's see, what would be the market cap? We have 1.5 billion shares divided by 10, 150 million shares times $5. That'd be a $750 million market cap, and we're over 4 or 5 billion right now. That would seem like the deal of a lifetime for me, as long as I thought the company wasn't going bankrupt. $5 after a reverse split. Would I be underwater on my other shares? Yes, but I would make it up by adding some more at that price. 2023, 2024, the movie industry is only going to get better. It's not going to be held at that price for long if it were to get run down. Just my opinion.
I absolutely agree with you, Tony. And we got to also keep remembering that to short it from 50 to 5, it takes some real big balls on the other side and a lot of money to also do that.
It's the exact same. It's the exact same as shorting it from $5 to 50 cents right now. Why haven't they done that? If it's so easy, look, the float's being dropped by a factor of 10. If it's so easy to drop it to $5, why haven't they dropped it to 50 cents? You got to ask yourself that question.
Precisely. And in the same time, we got to also remember that one thing that is out of their cards is all this tokenized stuff, all this FTX, all the crypto style shorting and all that crap. That stuff is in the past now, because all that stuff has been figured out or is coming to light as we speak even more and more. They're running out of ways on the other side of doing BS shorting. In other words, they're eventually going to come down. The way I see it, they're going to eventually come to a point where if they're going to make a short, they're going to make an authentic one. And they would definitely have to go borrow those shares, whether from an institute or from a broker. And those brokers will obviously hand them to them. One thing we've been seeing is anybody with a cash account, and this is way too late in the game to know this, but again, since it goes along with the conversation, many brokers with people with with margin accounts, your shares are still being lent, and while they're being lent, they also lose their voting power. Remember, lent shares, you lose your voting power to that stuff. So it's important to get things like I remember Wes Christian said, get a writing, from your broker if you're not a margin account, and to get them to sign that, hey, your shares are also not being lent. We've seen so much worse done for so much less in this world. Protect yourself and keep your eye on the prize. And again, like, it's going to be extremely difficult to try to short something from 50 to 5. I personally look at it as, after all these years and all these times and days, that they would be more eager to, if they got their hands on real shares, to actually cover, rather than continue to dig their hole even deeper. I mean, at this point, I think they've reached mid-earth.
Tyler has a question for us. He says, "What are your opinions on the existence of synthetic shares?" Do you want to take a whack at that one?
Well, physically, we don't have any physical proof, and that's just the truth of the reality. Are they out there? I'm 100,000% personal opinion here, sure of it, because we've seen how, like, even the brokers, and I will put most of this blame on the brokers rather than just always pinpointing on King Griffin. There's many devils in this game, and it's not just one person who controls all sides. Everybody has their piece of the pie. Everybody's got to make their money and do their thing. But the brokers are, in my humble opinion, the number one issue that we have, or if we were to have one, it would be with the brokers, because they are our only connect point to the other side, to everything. They're the ones who has your shares. They're the ones who will tell that XYZ amount of shares. Your shares are not being lent, whether they are or not. We don't know. They do. So there's no way. I mean, and what we've seen come out of the FTX scandal and everything like that, it makes it very clear that these other people, or the shorts, are willing to do whatever it takes to obviously save their money, as they always do throughout the past. Again, we've seen so many movies and conspiracies on Wall Street and Jupiter and Mars and all that stuff, and they all have shady stuff. At the end of the day, for them, they're protecting their number one prize, and their number one prize is their wealth. That's what they have. That's everything to them. To us, and I don't want to generalize, but to us, we live kind of like we're universal. We can live both lives. We would dream of this, of the high life, but at the same time, we already have a life. So we're putting everything on this, but even if it doesn't pan out, when I made my decision about this investment in the beginning, if this thing don't pan out, my life is not going to change. But if it does, then it's only nothing but upside from this moment. For them, they got more to lose than we do. They have their entire world to lose, and perhaps people, jumping off buildings and offices and whatever. So let's hope nobody does that. But that's normally something like that happens when some billionaires lose their money.
Yep. I'm gonna answer about synthetics, but first I want to answer Brookfield Brothers' question. And he says, "How do you know if your broker is loaning your shares out, even if you have share lending off?" When you get your proxy statement, make sure that the number of votes you have matches the number of shares you have. That is how you know. If they send you less votes than your shares, then some of your shares are lent out. That's the best way I can tell you to know. Now, other people are going to say, well, they're just going to lie. Okay. But I have a margin account because I do day trading. There's no way around it for me. About 10% of my votes were missing on the last proxy vote. So I know that some of my shares are being lent out. But so I think that they are honest to the extent that they, I don't know what the auditing goes on that. And if I thought everything was corrupt 100%, I just wouldn't even be in the market. I got to have some faith, right? But if you're worried about it, get it in writing from them that you do not want your shares loaned out. If there were ever a court case, where they needed some what's the word for evidence? Where they needed evidence, let's just use that word. Having it in writing could be helpful at some point. Let them know that you're watching that and you're aware of it. Now, as far as synthetics, much like AB, I've said hundreds of times, we don't have any hard evidence of synthetic shares. I've told you guys about how they can create legal synthetic shares in the options chain, buying puts and calls. I have a video about that I did over a year ago. You could do the same thing. You can create a synthetic share buying at the money put and call. It will exactly mirror the performance of buying 100 shares. So that's one way to create synthetic shares. There's rehypothecation, which is legal brokers lending out your shares over and over and over. That's also legal. And then there's illegal ways, like FTDs also is legal, right? It's sanctioned by the system, doesn't make it right. But there are failures to deliver, which they have ways to, most of those get covered, but they have ways to kick them down the can or get them off the FTD list. There's been tons of DD published about that. And then there's everybody talks about the naked shorts, right? I saw someone post today, there's 10 billion naked shorts. Guys, if there's 10 billion naked shorts, somebody's going to jail. The likelihood of billions and billions of naked shorts, considering that is illegal, is not highly likely in my world. But I will tell you that I think there's plenty of legal ways for them to create synthetic shares. So, and when I look at people I know and how many shares everybody's carrying, and I look at what institutions are holding and how much is shorted, the numbers don't add up. So yes, I think there are synthetic shares. There's more out there than we're being told about. But I can't get on board with this 9 or 10 billion naked shorts. That would be so illegal and so easily caught that I have a hard time getting on that train. But Lordy, if that is true, we're going to be so fucking rich. So I'm happy with knowing about all the legal ways they can do it, that they can get, and we can have a really good squeeze off of that. That I believe without a doubt. Look at all the plays that don't even have high short interest, or other plays that have small floats and have high short interest that go up thousands of %. Anything can happen when a catalyst kicks off in a stock. What were you going to say, AB?
If I may say, Tony, much of that theory of the 10 billion synthetic shorts or naked shorts that are out there, that I think that ideology derives from the misunderstanding of within the community. There is a big misunderstanding of confusing synthetic shares and naked shorts. And there's a big difference with that. So I think, yes, as we both agree that there are synthetics out there, but that does not make them naked shorts automatically. Because to make to open a short position, whether naked or dressed, you have to borrow, or you have to have some sort of agreement where you got those shares from someone, and eventually either you or that someone is going to be on the hook for that position. If it ends up profitable, they close it, good. They return the shares to the entity that they borrowed it from, or they bought the shares from. But the fact that it's considered that it's a naked short, that's wild. Now, I can explain one thing. I'm sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I was going to add, I do know that people do things illegally that allow naked shorts, right? Like in the Overstock case that Mark Cahotas was involved in, he was shorting Overstock, and his broker told him, yeah, we got to locate for you. So he shorted it, and his broker never actually located the shares, right? He thought he had a valid locate. He was actually naked and he didn't know it. The broker was breaking the rules. So there are cases where people do illegal things, right?
100%. And that's why
I'm not discounting that. That exists. People do illegal shit.
For sure. They will do far more for much less. But to think that all of that stuff, as those theories that are out there, all of these things are naked shorts, it's a bit too far-fetched. You guys got to, not you as in you, Tony, but everybody else have to remember, what is in it for these synthetics? What do they serve? What purpose? Adding more selling pressure on the stock. Thus far, sending the stock price downwards. And that's a way for them to do it without having to implicate themselves in a short position and be in documents and any of that stuff. Because all it takes to bring a stock down is crazy selling pressure from the top. So many of these synthetics could be or would have been created back then through all the ways that they can do so. As you mentioned, Tony, earlier, just mainly to create selling pressure, whether it's phantom selling pressure or real, to more to bring the price more down. The short, if obviously there's 10 billion shorts out there, perhaps, or even if there's 5 billion naked shorts out there, besides what we already know of as far as the data tells us now, the legal ones, the dressed ones, then oh my God, we might have to rethink the whole Moass mindset. We might need to raise it a bit.
If there are billions, then a Moass price is in the world of possibilities. But that's it for everybody to make their own decision. I'm not in the billions of synthetics. I'd think there are synthetics enough to make this a great squeeze play, but my numbers aren't as high as everybody else. That's just my own personal bias. What else was I going to say? Someone typed something in here that key to thought, and it already passed. Synthetics, naked shorts. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I think the other problem may be that we're faced with right now is retail had a lot of liquidity in 2020 and 2021. And there might still be a great majority of us holding at this point. Certainly some people have sold. I've seen people fall by the wayside. I'm sure you have too. I've seen YouTubers say they sold. I've had people private message me, I can't take this anymore. People have gotten out of the play. But I think the vast majority are still holding because they want to see this through. But kind of one of my hypothesis is a lot of people have run out of money to keep buying. And so if you're just holding what you have, you're on the sidelines. Like you're an observer of the price action on that day. And there are firms that can trade millions of shares a day over and over, and they're the ones setting the price. And retail doesn't have the money to come in right now and buy millions of shares every day. So people are wondering, oh, it's just being shorted down. It could just be, it could be getting shorted down from high-speed trading firms that are day trade shorting it. And there's nothing we can do because we're not applying the counterbalance of buying pressure. Does that make sense?
Definitely makes a lot of sense.
You don't have to you don't have to see the short interest go up. They can be in and out on the same day and drive the price down. And if we're not providing the same or more buying pressure that they're willing to apply to push it down, we're still going to lose by holding until it gets so low that somebody with big money comes in and says, all right, I'm in, or a catalyst happens.
Yes. That's
why I hold. That's why I hold, AB.
Yeah, well, you have very valid reasons, Tony. And one of those speaking of catalysts, could be also the liquidity crisis that the other side also faces. As we know, or we see, more and more banks even are purchasing more government bonds than they are issuing as far as loans or mortgages, because clearly they make a lot more money on mortgages and loans and all that stuff. But is it safe, especially in this year? Exactly. Nope. Exactly. So they would rather settle for the much more less lucrative side, which is buying bonds. They don't make that much on it, but they rather do that because, let's face it, 2021 overfilled these banks' vaults with so much cash. They have a lot of cash on hands, and that's a problem for many of us who might have a hard time believing that. But having a lot of cash on hand, especially for a bank, is actually an issue because it devaluates their own, money as they're sitting. So they want to always constantly be making money. So even if they have to go for the less profitable, which what they're doing, and this is happening globally, by the way, everyone. In Japan, they're doing it so as well. They're doing it in China. They're doing it here. They're doing it in England. And that's what they're doing. So can that at some point force or make some sort of catalyst I possibly see the possibility of that. Again, liquidity crisis is valid for both sides. If somebody or a short once gets close to a margin requirement and they can't go fulfill that margin because they can't get no money or anybody to look out for them. We've seen that happen in 2022 for a couple of hedge fund managers, and they'll go under, and that could be the death blow or the knockout punch that we've been waiting for.
Dark Latin says our buys don't even go through an exchange to matter. If you're worried about your trades going through a dark pool, you need to get on a real exchange, a real broker, and go into the settings. I have an example from a year and a half ago of how to set your settings on Fidelity to route direct to a lit exchange. That's on you guys. If you're buying, you need to not be on Webull, not on Robinhood, and have you can hold on those brokers. That's cool. But if you're still wanting to do buying, get on TD Ameritrade or Fidelity or any interactive brokers and set your settings to route to a lit exchange, NYSE, IEX, what you get to pick, but you have to take action to make that happen. Why is the off exchange number so high? Because the high speed trading firms and the institutions are all trading in the dark pool, and some of retail too. But every single high speed trading firm, the guys that are trading millions of shares per hour, per minute, sometimes, all of them are doing it in the dark pool. It's no surprise to me that the off exchange numbers are high, because that's where every big institution's trading. We're a fraction of the overall trades in a day, guys. A fraction, a small fraction. Don't get upset about all of the off exchange trading. That's not most of you. You're a blip on the overall trading of the day. High speed trading firms will buy and sell millions of shares to make 5 cents profit. And that's all going to dark pools. But if you should not have shares going to a dark pool, that is on you. That's your responsibility to fix. What do you say, AB?
Yeah, people wonder, and just to back your point, Tony, people wonder like how these broker apps, like the payment for order flow apps, make their money. Everybody raves about the free, but the other side has got to make their money. That's how they do their thing. If you go through a payment for order flow app or broker, you're technically kind of asking for it. There's little to none that you can do at that point. It's your due diligence to go ahead and make sure that your investment is protected to the best of your ability, or whatever is available to you. If there's great links that you have to go to make sure that you don't get screwed, and I totally sympathize with everyone. I know that the system should be a lot more safe than having to go through all those hoops, but this is what we got. We can't just you can't just blame anybody else for the shortcomings of you not doing your due diligence of going through. In the beginning of this movement, many people didn't know, but as we kept going forward, many things came to light. We've discovered so much, and we've changed so much, and the only way we could do so is by continuing to stay on this path and see how and go through with it. But that's how these payment for order flow apps make. You could outsmart them, and by outsmarting them, I mean you could utilize, and again, this is not financial advice. This is just what AB does. You could utilize their platform for day trading options, day trading stocks, or anything, because at the end of the day, for me, I don't care what they send to the market maker or where they payment for order flow, any of it. I'm in and I'm out most of the time in the same day. I don't hold anything on payment for order flow apps. But why not? If I can do an option trade without having to worry about paying fees to my broker, and also get a very competitive price in doing so as well, yeah, the feeling is a little shaky, and you might know about what I'm saying. You might know what I'm talking about with this, Tony. If you use Webull or any of the other ones for options, but at the end of the day, when I balance things out, it's a profit. So I use it only for that purpose. Now, when it's all about any of my long-term holdings, I am 20,000 miles away from the nearest payment for order flow brokerage.
I do have a Webull account that I use for some trading, but I don't recommend it for stocks that you're in for a short squeeze. I use it for some stocks and for some option trading also, and for the low flow IPOs that they offer, these Chinese IPOs, and they have very early morning pre-market hours. So there's some benefits to it, but I'm just saying if you're in a short squeeze play, that's probably not the place you want to be buying those shares. You got to know each tool and use the right tool for the right circumstance.
100%.
Maggie says, anyone know when the vote is? Maggie, there's a 30-day statutory waiting period for the Antara second tranche, which will put it around January 22nd for the FTC review of that deal. And so I'm expecting we'll get something from AMC after January 22nd, like a proxy statement. Might not be the day after. The FTC can ask for more information. That's why they have up to 90 days on the window. But when the deal is approved by the FTC, I expect promptly after that, we'll get a proxy statement from AMC, and that will tell us when the vote is. So we're in a waiting period right now, and nobody will know until AMC officially publishes that. But soon. If you're wondering why nothing's come, it's because of that statutory 30-day waiting period.
Well, Tony, I will say if there are any questions out there, I would be more than happy to take any quick ones to go. I've taken so much of your precious time and everybody else's time. If there's anything that is out there, I would go ahead. I'll be more than happy to answer. Otherwise, I would like to go back into the ranks and enjoy the rest of the stream while probably watching.
I'm about to wrap it up anyways, because I hope to be up at 5 or 5:30 and see some beautiful news in pre-market and then come on live when the market opens. So I don't want to stream all night. Thank you for your time, AB. Guys, we'll go a couple more minutes. If you have other questions for AB or myself, we can knock out a couple quick ones, and then we're going to call it a night. Chio Cologne says, will the conversion price be a combined of the two stocks, then times 10? My understanding, my belief is just like when AMC and APE split and we took the value of AMC and moved some of it over here to APE, I think that they will add it back in when they do the conversion. That is my belief. I don't know if I'm 100% correct. AB, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's going to be pretty difficult to look at it like from one angle, or like to give a straight answer on it, because again, the proxy will control a lot of things, a lot of those nitty and gritty details. We'll be able to see what they mean by, like anything could change, honestly. So it's a very tough kind of question to answer, as simple as it may sound. It's a very tough question to answer now, because who's to say that they won't even do a forward stock split later, and everything goes back to difference. So if I'm understanding the question correctly.
Yeah, the other unknown I have is the larger float on APE going to have any play in that? How they combine the prices back together? It's hard to give you guys a definite 100% accurate answer. But if I had to guess, it would be something close to the price of APE plus AMC. And then the next second that it actually starts trading, everything's going to change. You know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Gus asking, is there a date for the proxy? We just talked about that 60 seconds ago, Gus. Scroll back to where I had Maggie's question up on the screen. Clark says, Tony, do you think we're going to come into a gamma ramp in AMC anytime soon? I mean, conditions are good right now for a gamma ramp, Clark, but we got to have a catalyst and continued buying pressure to pull that into play. all the options sitting out there in the options chain don't matter two shits if the price doesn't move up. But the more the price moves up, the more you start getting that gamma squeeze. So you could have 1 million calls at $15 that they'll be meaningless if the price doesn't go over $7. So you got to have, the price has to move up. So let's hope that we have continued price movement up this week and get some more of those calls in the money, and every bit helps. Do you agree or have other thoughts, AB?
No, I totally agree with everything you said. From me looking at the movement, especially from beginning of last week, all the way leading up today, I haven't seen, like, yes, we did go up over 50%. Perfect. Like, at least on AMC alone, like, I haven't combined both AMC and APE, but we did at least go above that in just within the last 5 trading days period. Now, the thing is that captures my attention the most is the volume that we're going through. It's not very bullish, in my humble opinion. Normally there will be a lot more the volume will be a lot higher than that leading up to the gamma squeeze. But definitely, yes, like, the setup is there. I feel like this is the market maker has their fingerprints all over the place here with this, because again, they have to they control and they live between the bid and the ask. That's where the market maker built their mansion. So the market maker has a lot to do with this. So we will see basically if the volume picks up tomorrow, perhaps toward the end of the week, we have a really nice setup that takes us even into and even propels us into next week, which is also very, very bullish. If, as you mentioned, we close above the expected prices, hopefully we go over the 7s and the 8s, perhaps, and let this be or maybe this could be the making of the perfect storm.
Real Rugged says he's confused which brokers are not payment for order flow. I can tell you, Rugged, that even if you switch to Fidelity and you do not change your settings to direct trade, Fidelity will route you to a dark pool. A lot of people don't talk about that. It's not just enough to switch to a big broker. You have to go in and set your settings to direct, either as a default or per trade, to a lit exchange. Fidelity will 100% route you to a dark pool. Why? Because they make money off of that. It's better for them. If you don't mandate in your instructions by either globally changing your settings or setting it per trade, it's going to a dark pool. So watch the video I did a year ago on how to set up your Fidelity settings. Figure it out for your specific broker. Ask them the question if you can't figure it out. And if you don't, call your broker and ask them, how do I make sure that I'm routing to a lit exchange? That's the simplest answer, because I don't have the instructions for you for every single broker, but it's really not that hard to figure out. But don't just trust that because you're with the big broker, you're avoiding payment for order flow. All of them will route you to a dark pool. 100%, because they get kickbacks, they get rebates. Of course, they're going to do the capitalistic thing.
Who says no to money?
Absolutely. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. The onus is on us to be informed and educated and take the steps. That's one thing that we've all learned in the past year and a half. Is
they're
IEX...
legally...
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, if they're legally able to do anything and make money out of it, no matter how awkward it might sound or seem, these people will do it. They'll do it in a heartbeat. They won't even skip one.
PD Harris says, is IEX okay? That is a lit exchange. It's okay to use. I have seen times when prices are running up Mr. Harris, that IEX runs out of liquidity. It's a very small exchange. It's a fraction of the total lit exchange volume. And what I want you to think about, like if the price is running up and you're wanting to buy AMC at 625, and most of the people on there are retail traders, they're not wanting to sell at 625, your order could be rejected. I've seen that happen on IEX many, many times. Not from myself, because I don't trade on IEX, but from people that post, oh, why do my orders keep getting canceled? Because it's a illiquid exchange. So I route mine to New York Stock Exchange. I've never one time had a problem getting filled immediately. But there's nothing wrong with IEX. That is just some issue that you may run into from time to time on that exchange. And if you like trading there and you run into a canceled order scenario, just swap it real quick to XNYS and send it over to New York Stock Exchange. Maggie Scarlett's doing well. She was up and around today. Thank you for asking. She is moving, but the more she moves, the more pain she's having from her collarbone. So she's struggling with that. I think we're going to get the stitches and staples out of her head tomorrow. So that'll be, I'm sure she'll be happy about that. And every day is incremental progress. Deborah says, who would sell in their right mind? Not everybody makes their own individual decisions, Deborah. I don't judge people. I've seen a lot of people selling on YouTube and Twitter. I'm sure you guys have seen them too. They lost their conviction in the play. That's their choice. They have the right to their choice. Paul says, Weeble will just throw fake liquidity as it rises. Sending prayers. Thank you, Bravo. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. AB, thank you again. I appreciate you as a person for the ability to have a dissenting discussion and still be an adult about it. I don't see you. I don't think I really remember seeing you making a bunch of hate-filled videos against other people, but you speak your mind. And that's all any of us can ask for. Everybody has the right to speak their mind. Be good to one another. AB's a good person to model yourself after. I love you. Even though we don't agree on everything, you always have my respect. And I like having people like you that I can bounce things off of, because that is the way that we all learn together.
I will redirect everything you've said to me, Tony, right back at you. Obviously, I've always had a great deal of respect for you, my friend. Like I said, may God bless this movement, bless everybody who's a part of this, and also may God, send His blessings, as He always does, onto you, your family, and your loved ones, Scarlett, and all the other loved ones. I'm looking forward to hearing more great news about the recovery and about everything else. Because again, at the end of the day, many things are much bigger than stock investing when it comes to it. So there's no words that can describe the amount of obviously respect and appreciation I have for you, Tony. And that's mainly because of the fact that you do this on a daily basis. As a content creator, I know how hectic it is to have to deal on a daily basis for years with people coming at you, calling you other names, if they don't agree with your point or anything. And yet you get up and you do the same thing again the very next day. Because at the end of the day, you're a man on a mission, and you're not just throwing out any hypothetical reasonings without backing them up. Like, we have to always obviously have logic. And you, my friend, is a waterfall of that. So thank you so much again for giving me the opportunity and inviting me to come over. And I look forward to more, perhaps in the future.
Thank you to all the mods that were here tonight. Thank you for the other channel content creators that came and stopped in and gave us your words of wisdom. Thank you especially to the members of the channel, those of you that help keep the bills paid, keep the lights on, provide all the tools that I rely on to give you guys all this due diligence. And for every single one of you, whether you're a member of the channel or not, you guys are why we're here, for your questions, to share our opinions and our best guesses on what is going to happen. Do we get everything right? No, none of us get everything right. But we're here to figure it all out the best we can, and to be a community and to share thoughts and hopefully make some money together. So thank you for spending some time with us this evening. AB, one more final shout out to you. And guys, we will see you on the next one.